Hello and welcome to Baseball Scorekeeping for First Timers. This is written for novice scorekeepers or somebody who wants to learn how to do it or is asked to do scorekeeping by their team. So let's get to it. Thanks for volunteering to keep score. This series of pages attempts to make keeping the book for Haltom Youth baseball games easy. We've tried to be comprehensive while also simplifying the most basic scorekeeping skills and describe them in terms that even our players can understand. The scorebook is important. It is the official game record and is used to record every pitch, at bat, and defensive play. The book is used during the game to confirm who is next to bat, how many pitches a pitcher has thrown, and whether runners were on base before the last play. The book is used after the games to calculate player and team statistics. Here's the good news. Our league does not require that we track everything as in the previous statement. This means scorekeeping is much less complicated from the start. What does being a scorekeeper mean? Keeping score means that you will fill an important role both for your team and the league. Scorebooks provide documentation of all league games while also confirming pitch counts and player eligibility. What are the benefits of scorekeeping? There are many, but the feeling you will have after learning something new and contributing to your team will be amazing. You will deepen your understanding of the game and learn something new every game. You will get support from coaches and other parents. Are there any downsides? Not really, but to be honest, you will need to really pay attention to the game. If you're a social butterfly in the stands, the keep score may not be for you. The scorebook. This is what a page of a scorebook looks like. There are a lot of abbreviations and spaces to collect every action that occurs on the field during the play. It looks like a complicated mess, and you're probably saying, why did I sign up to do this? Don't panic. We'll break it down together, and you will see that it's actually pretty easy to understand. Let's start by understanding how this page is structured. First, let's identify a whole bunch of stuff we can ignore, all the areas in red. Why can we ignore some parts? Most of the highlighted parts are pieces of information that can be completed after the game by somebody else if needed. Batting order, lineup. Now let's take a look at the parts we do need to pay attention to and how they're structured. The left-handed column is where the batting order is listed. There is room for 16 players in the batting order, but most HYB teams will have 13 players or less. There are two spaces for each position in the batting order, one for the starting player and one for the substitution player. We can ignore the substitutes as we bat round robin. What is round robin? Round robin is everybody on the team bats and we start over. The manager from each team will provide the scorekeeper with the batting order. The scorekeeper writes the names and the players in that order in the space provided. Also write their jersey number in the jersey number column. There is individual columns for each inning. There are 9 innings shown on score sheets, but in HYB we usually finish when time runs out. Please know the rules of the amount of innings per your age division. For example, 8U, 5 innings max. Columns tell the story of the game. They tell us who did what and when, in what order things happen. Player roles. There's an individual role for each player. Roles tells the player's achievements during the game. They tell us what specific player did, how it affected the game, and when they did it. Pitchers and catchers. For minor divisions and above, it is necessary to document special information for pitchers and catchers. For now, we'll show you where this will be documented. We'll go into more details about this later. This actually will not apply for HYB. We do keep track of pitcher innings, not pitcher pitch counts. Little recap. So far, we've learned that 1, we can ignore a lot of this page. 2, where to put the players' names in the batting order, what inning columns are for, where the player rows are, and where to document pitcher and catcher information. Like I said, HYB, we just need pitcher innings pitched. Each game will have 2 pages, one for the home team, your team, and one for the visitor team. You will be keeping score for the whole game, not just for one team. Okay, game setup. We'll start with the batting order lineup. Start by writing the team name and the date. The visiting team will be batting first, so their lineup, player number, and name will be written on the first page. The home team bats second, so their lineup will be written on the page on the second page. You notice that there are two lines for each player. Remember, you can ignore the substitute, the second line, so you can ignore what position for each player. Players move around so much it is impossible to track during the regular season. After you've entered the batting order, both teams, you are ready for the game to begin. For 10U and above, as the teams are preparing for the first inning, you need to document who is pitching and who is catching. Scratch that. We just need who is pitching. These are important for pitching count and player eligibility. Pitcher's name and number will be documented in the designated area. You'll notice a second line with a lot of abbreviations under each pitcher. These are not important for the beginning scorekeepers. You can use this line for new pitchers throughout the game. Sequence of the game. The game sequence flows down the inning column. Every time a new batter begins a new at bat, you must use the new box. We'll describe the box later. Since the players bat in order, you just move down to the next box in that order. The first batter in the first inning gets the first box, highlighted in the red square right here. Each subsequent batter gets a new square as you work down the first inning column. Remember, the boxes capture what the batter did when he or she did it. So the box you use is to determine who is batting and what inning it is. Since the players bat in order, you just move down to the next end of a half inning. When the player makes the third out, the other team comes to bat. Let's say number 8 Connor got the third out. After you finish noting what occurred in the box, you make the mark to indicate that he made the last out. For example, right here. He made the last out. Some scorekeepers will add squiggly lines to remind themselves that the remaining players did not bat in that inning. Some will use diagonal lines to have him help identify the leadoff batter for the next inning, while others will use a heavy horizontal line, just like shown right here. As long as the marks helps you remember the next inning where it begins and you're consistent, you'll be fine. So you could draw a squiggly line here, or you can draw an arrow pointing here, that's where you'll begin, then a squiggly line. Remember that you can create the page for the other team too. At this point, you turn to the other team's page and continue scorekeeping the other team's at bats according to their lineup. New inning. When a player makes a third out, the other team comes to bat. Remember that the sixth batter got the third out in the first inning? This means that the seventh batter will bat first, lead off in the second inning. See the red square right here. Just remember to match the leadoff batter to the proper inning to determine what box to start in. If you got room at the bottom of the lineup, go back. If you run out of room at the bottom of the lineup, go back up to the top in the same inning to keep going. At HYB, all players bat in continuous lineup. The inning continues until 3 outs are made or 5 runs are scored. 8 if over the fence grand slam is the max. Little recap. We've covered the lineup and game sequence. So far, we've learned the lineup is the same thing as the batting order, where to begin scoring, and how the scoring sequence flows, how a half inning ends, how to begin a new inning in the right place. The box. This is where all the game details are captured. It's a tiny piece of real estate that requires scorekeepers to make quick and accurate notes about the game. The notes scorekeepers need to make are both logical and require some baseball shorthand. Let's start by looking at the box more closely. The box anatomy. There are several things already in the box. Let's understand what each thing is and what the scorekeeper needs to do. What is it? Right here in the red circle, it is a way to keep track of the pitches to the batter. There are 3 squares for the balls and 2 squares for the strikes. What do? Add a mark in each box according to whether the pitch was a ball or a strike. In 6U, there is no 3 strikes and you're out rule. There is a six correction. There's a 5 pitch maximum with the option of the 6 being off a tee. In 8U, there is 3 strikes and you're out rule. There is a 5 pitch maximum, but the bat continues if the final pitch is a foul ball. All right, what do we see in these red circles? Number 1, the type of hit: walk, single, double, triple, home run. Number 2, all the bases in the diamond. So here's home, first, second, third. We will review this a little bit when we discuss how to record a play. What do? Step 1, circle the one that corresponds with the type of hit the batter got. For example, here, kid got a double. Step 2, connect the bases for the batter where the batter reached on this hit. John hit a double, circle double. You go from home to first, first to second. The books that HYB use may not have a dedicated spot for an out. What do? Just write the number 1, 2, or 3 corresponding to the out made, first, second, or third out, and circle it. So you can write it anywhere in here, circle it, that way you know what out it is. Record the play that resulted in an out. For example, Marcus is at bat with no outs. Marcus hits a ground ball to the second baseman. The second baseman caught the ball and threw it to the first baseman for a force out. What do? Step 1, write the number 1 in the lower right hand column, indicating an out. That's all that we require. If you want to take a step forward and write 4-3, which 4 is the second baseman, 3 is the first baseman. That means that the second baseman threw it to the first baseman to record a ground out. Quick recap. We've covered the anatomy of the box. So far we've learned pitch count in 6U and 8U, how to record a hit, how to keep track of outs. We have not covered how to record a play. So far, we've covered the basics about the score sheet and how it works, the lineup and the game sequence and the basic anatomy of the box. Let's move to our last topic about how to record a play. Record a play. If there is a tricky part to scorekeeping, it's how to record a play. If you recall, the last example described a play where Marcus was at bat with no outs, hit a ground ball to the second baseman. The second baseman caught the ball, threw the first baseman to force Marcus out at first base. You'll see the notations of the play in boxes 4-3 with out number 1 recorded. How in the world did we come up with that? Let's find out. It's actually not that difficult. How parents see the field. As a parent, we tend to see the field according to the names of the players. Imagine Marcus hit one more time, hit the ball to Chris. Chris caught it and threw it to Jackson, who touched first to force Marcus out. In shorthand, we could write Chris to Jackson for 1 out. How can we possibly write all that inside the tiny box? We can't. There just isn't enough space. Let's look how scorekeepers do it. How scorekeepers see the field. The scorekeeper simplified the view of the field by replacing players' names with a unique number. The number represents the player's position. This convention is really helpful when the players change position, which they do almost every inning. So you see here, number 1 is your pitcher, 2 catcher, 3 first base, 4 second base, 5 third base, 6 shortstop, 7 left field, 8 center field, 9 right field, and we can use number 10 as our rover, because 6U, 8U, they have 4 outfielders, so there'll be 10 will be out there. There is absolutely no need to memorize the position numbers. Each page in the scorebook has a helpful reminder of the numbers assigned to each position. Like I stated earlier, 6U and 8U have 10 players on our field, which is why you see 10 on the diagram when you can actually see it in front of you. Summary. To summarize Marcus is at bat one last time. Marcus was at bat with no outs, hit a ground ball. You see the dashes. The second baseman caught it, threw the ball solid line, to the first baseman to force Marcus out. The scorekeeper will record the play as a 4-3 putout. 4-3, and there's the out. So he ran, he never reached first base safely, so we'll draw a little line right here that says this is where he stopped. Recording sequential plays. Let's walk through a half inning to illustrate how scorekeeping works during a game. Steve, number 24, bats first. He takes a ball, 2 strikes, then hits a single. So we recorded 1 ball, 2 strikes, and then he hit a single. Record the ball and strikes with a line through the box, then record the single and draw the line showing he's on first base. Bobby, number 42, is up next. He got a great at bat with 3 balls and 2 strikes, 2 foul offs, and finally hits a double. Now, you see in this example, he had a full count and he hit 2 foul balls after he had 2 strikes. See, they put the 2 dots. We are not asking you to do that. That is a lot of details. If you want to do it, that's fine. That's your choice. Record the balls, strikes, and foul offs. You'll notice that there isn't room for an additional foul balls, but we still need to document them to keep accurate pitch counts. Again, we don't need to do that in HYB. We keep track of a pitcher's innings. Then record his double and draw a line showing Bobby's at second. So he hit a double, record the double, draw lines from home to first, first to second. Now he's at second. Bobby's hit advances Steve along the bases as well. You document by drawing a line where Steve is. So remember, Steve was at first base because he hit a single right before Bobby. Bobby hits a double, so he goes from first to second and second to third. So he's currently at third base. Next up is Joe, number 3. He strikes out swinging on 3 pitches. Document the strikes, then the strikeout as a K. Had Joe not swung, it would have been a backwards K. So 1 strike, 2 strikes, then he swung and missed at the 3rd one. That's a strikeout, 1 out. This says if he wouldn't have swung, you would do a backwards K. That tells the coaches or the people keeping score that he struck out looking and not swinging. Jim, number 13, is up next. He takes 2 balls and hits a double. Steve scores off the hit and Bobby moves to third base. Document Jim's balls, 1 ball, 2 balls, and the double, including drawing the line showing Jim is at second base. Double, line, Jim's at second base. Then moving up the column, advance Bobby to third. Here's Bobby, he moved to third. Moving up the column again, advance Steve home and color in the diamond. This makes it easy to tally up the runs at the end of the inning. So you see, they moved, he scored, they shaded it all in. Next to bat is Alex, number 7. He hits on the first pitch, but the ball is caught by the center fielder. This is called a flyout and is documented as F8 for the second out. The ball was hit deep enough that Bobby is also able to score, but Jim stays put at second. Draw the line showing Bobby came in and fill in the diamond. Nothing happens to Jim's ball because he did not move. Jim stayed put. So you document F-8, and that's the second out. You can go a little bit step above and put SAC right above the F8. That means sacrifice. So we gave up an out to get a run. So it's a sacrifice fly. Batting next is Connor. He takes 2 balls and 2 strikes, then hits a ground ball to shortstop who throws to first for the final out of the inning. Outs like this are documented by showing who fielded the ball, when, where it was thrown to get the out. In this case, the play is a 6-3 shortstop to first base. Because this is the 3rd out of the inning, half inning, we can add the diagonal mark or the heavy horizontal mark and the squiggly lines to remind us that the first inning is complete. Pitch counts. Like we mentioned earlier, HYB does not require pitch counts, but you may be asked by the coach to keep pitch counts so they can limit the number of pitches pitcher throws to avoid injuries. If this is something your coach is asking you to do, please get with one of the HYB commissioners and we'll get with you and teach you how to do this. Here is the whole inning breakdown of what we recorded. You can read through here. For this inning, the pitch total was 24. When a pitcher is moved to another position, a new pitcher will come in and continue the game. You'll document this with NP for new pitcher in the box for the first batter of the new pitcher that the new pitcher faces. You can see the NP right here. This most commonly happens between innings because many HYB coaches are trying to give as many players the chance to pitch as possible. Occasionally, a coach will change pitchers between innings. The only difference in how you document the change that it won't be immediately under the thick line you drew to help remember where you start the next inning. Again, this slide talks about pitch count. Once again, HYB does not require you keep the count of pitches. We do by innings. Every other line here has abbreviations that are only used by more experienced scorekeepers or by coaches. It is not necessary for you to document any of these, so it is easier as you're learning to keep score to simplify the use of second lines for additional pitchers, especially given the many games will have 4 to 6 pitchers per team. Congratulations, you've made it all the way through. By now you should have a good sense of how its scorekeeping works. We're hopeful this information is giving you enough information to feel confident to score the game. Here are a few final notes to remember. Try your best. Learn something every time you keep score. Mistakes are inevitable. That's why we use pencil. Some scorekeepers prefer to add color to the scorebook. If you want to try it, the most common colors used are red for outs. Any other color and runs to make more squiggly lines. You are not expected to know all these rules of baseball. The umpire is a priceless resource. If you're not sure what happens, ask. You are equally important to the umpire. They'll often ask what the count on the batter is, what the pitch count is, etc. Always remember that the scorekeeper's job is documentation. Should something happen during the game that doesn't get caught, batting out of order, incorrect call, etc., by the manager or coach, the scorekeeper simply documents what happened. The scorekeeper should never call the manager or coach's attention to a discrepancy. Common abbreviations, not all of which have been fully reviewed above. BB, walk, base on balls. 1B, single. 2B, double. 3B, triple. HR, home run. HBP, hit by pitch. Ways batter gets out. Backwards K, strikeout looking. A K, strikeout swinging. Ways to get out on the baseline. Pound sign, or as the Ute calls it nowadays, hashtag play on the ball. CS, caught stealing. RI, runner interference. DP, double play. Ways to advance on the baseline. SB, stolen base. OT, overthrow. For more advanced, E for errors. PB for pass balls, WP for wild pitch. Remember, ages 10U and up, you will have a lot of strike threes with the dropped ball. So it would be a wild pitch or a pass ball, depending if the error was on the pitcher or the catcher, and they will make it to the base. That is still a strikeout, it's just not an out. It's confusing, I know, but that's the way it is.